Hello, my 500 level students. I remain Brimo MO Excel, and I also remain your facilitator. I want to welcome you to another class. Today we'll be looking at system control. Now, when we remember, we are still on the course titled Management Information System. Now, when we talk about system control, what are we talking about? Now, we are looking from the word control and system. You have a system and you want to manage that system. We call that system control. All right, it talks about the methods, you understand? The methodologies or the mechanisms and even the procedures that you can use or implement, you understand, to regulate, to monitor and manage the operations of a system, basically to ensure its productivity and efficiency. I'm going to take that again. From the word system control, I have a system and I want to control that system. I want to manage that system for me to get effective or prolific results. How do I do that? We call that system control. And it talks about the methods, the mechanisms, the procedures that I can use to regulate, monitor, and manage the operations of a system in order to get a prolific or an efficient result, basically to ensure its efficiency. So we call that system control. I want to believe that is clear, okay? And not just efficiency alone, accuracy is also key, and reliability is also key. Like I said, in this method, we're looking at the mechanisms and even procedures that I can use to regulate, to monitor, to manage the operations of a system to ensure its efficiency, accuracy, and even its reliability. All right, it is critical aspect of any information system, and it ensures the system performs as intended and safeguards against unauthorized access, errors, or even what we call disruptions, anything that can hinder or detach or denigrate or um, um, tarnish your work. You understand? We have to avoid that. So those procedures are what we call system control, and we have the types. All right, the types of system control. So I want to educate us on that. The first control I'm going to be talking about is the physical control. Now, from the word physical, you can see it, you can manage it, you can look at it, you can address it physically. It's a kind of control that is implemented basically to protect hardware and physical components of a system. Okay, you want to implement this to protect your hardware components. You understand? We call that physical control. Any kind of methodology or control I implement basically to protect my hardware and physical components of my system. We call that physical control. Don't forget, we are looking at the types of system control, and I just explained the first one, number one, which is the physical controls. Okay, example is when you lock your server room. Okay, yes, when you install surveillance cameras. Okay, yes, of course. Now, even when you get physical security to man your server rooms, okay, using biometrics access systems. Okay, it's also key. All right, using biometrics, your iris, your thumbprint, and so on, or even your voice, they are all biometrics. Okay, we'll call all this physical control, even using your password. Okay, we call this physical control. Then we have what is known as logical control. All right, logical control, it's a bit just like physical control. Okay, though I mentioned password in physical control because it's a physical thing you do, but you use a computer system, so that falls under logical control. All right, now when we talk about logical control, we are looking at how can I secure my data and software within the system. How can I secure my computer systems data and also all my software? How can I protect them from intruders? For example, I can implement password protection, I can encrypt, and I can use firewalls and even antivirus. When I do that, we call this logical control. So logical control talks about the use of password protection, encryption, encapsulation, firewall, and even antivirus. Okay, all right. So do not forget that we call that logical control. Then number three is the administrative control. From the word administrative, you map up policies, okay, and procedures, okay, to govern the operation and the use of the system. Yes, there are policies, okay, fine. Some of the policies is that if you're not a member of staff, you're not supposed to come to the server room. You know, just map up strategies. You understand? Come up with policies and procedures that you feel that can help protect your system. Example, using training programs, security policies and compliance audits, and even what we call rule-based access control, the RBAC. RBAC. Okay, so we call this administrative control. That's number three. When you use policies and procedures to protect your system. Okay, we call that administrative control. That takes us to number four, which is the input controls. From the word input, we ensure that data entered into the system is accurate. Yes, it is complete and it must be authorized. It must be sanctioned by you. Okay? No data should be entered without your final instruction. We call this input control. So anybody that want to enter anything must let you know, must hint you first before they enter in any data. We call that input control. It ensures that data entered into the system is accurate, is complete, and authorized to avoid what we call giggle, garbage in, and garbage out. Example is the data validation techniques. For example, when you run your real checks and even your format checks, they use your forms to standardize data data entry. The number 5 is called the processing control. In the word processing, you know what I'm talking about. You ensure that data is processed accurately and according to what the necessary requirements. We call that processing controls. Now, when we talk about processing control, it ensures that data is processed accurately and accordingly based on the necessary requirement. We call that processing control. For example, cross-checking calculations. You need to cross-check. Monitoring what we call batch totals and reconciliations. Okay, we call this processing control. I'm going to take that again. In terms of the processing control, we ensure that data is processed accurately and according to the necessary requirements. I said example is your monitoring batch totals and reconciliations and also cross-checking all calculations to ensure there are no error. We call this processing control. That takes us to number 6, which is the output control. Now when we talk about the output, from the word output, to display, to give out, okay, either as hard copy or soft copy, to ensure system outputs are accurate and reach the correct recipient. All right, output controls that every information you are giving out are correct. They are free from any form of erroneous information. They are accurate, they are correct, they are free from error. We ensure that system outputs are accurate and they reach the correct the recipient. We call that output controls. All right. For example, reviewing printed reports for errors. Of course, if you print out something and there are errors, you need to condemn it and print another one. So that's why it's only good to check before you print out. We call that output controls. Then access controls for sensitive documents is very important. So these are what we call output controls. They ensure that system outputs are accurate and they reach the correct recipient. Don't forget, we are still talking about system control. And I told you what system control is, that there are methods, there are mechanisms, and there are procedures that are used to regulate, monitor, and manage the operation of the system to ensure efficiency, accuracy, and reliability. Then we're looking at the types of system controls. We've talked about the physical control, we talked about the logical controls, we looked at the administrative controls, we talked about the input controls, we talked about the processing control, and now we just address what we call the output control that ensures that system outputs are accurate and they get to the necessary or the correct recipient. I said reviewing printed report for errors, accessing controls for sensitive document. Number 7 is what we call the feedback control. From the word feedback, monitor system performance and provide feedback for improvement. If you get feedback, we call it like the fact, the frequently asked questions. You get feedback, okay, from your users. All right, you perform what we call monitoring tools, and you use feedback with mechanisms. You understand? Performance monitoring tools, you make use of them, then you use feedback mechanisms. We call this feedback control. You monitor system performance and you provide feedback for what? For improvement. So that's number 7, which we call the feedback controls. The number 8 is the backup and recovery control. From the word backup and recovery, what about if you lose your file? How do you get it back? Do you have a backup? Okay, that's very important. So safeguards to ensure that data can be recovered in case of failure or disaster. In case failure happens or there's a disaster, you must have a backup. We call that backup and recovery control. The ability to safeguard and ensure that your data can be recovered in case of failure or disaster. Okay, example is your regular data backups and also your disaster recovery plans. Okay, do you have a disaster recovery plan in your organization? If you do not have, you have to create one now. You don't know when anything can happen. Okay, there may be a fire disaster or stuff like that. There may be natural disaster. Anything can happen, or your room can be access can come into they will gain access to your ICT room and they will tend to tarnish your document or alter them. So you need to have a backup in order for you to get accurate records. Okay, so we call that backup and recovery control. That takes us to number 9, which is the access controls. From the word access, okay, restrict and monitor user access to ensure only authorized individuals or personnel can use specific resources. If you are not a member of the top executives or you are not among the board members, you are not free to do that. There must be restriction. So you are able to restrict and monitor user access to ensure only what authorized individuals can use specific resources. We call that access controls. Example is your multi-factor authentication, which you call the MFA, and also your login credentials and user permissions. Okay, so these are the various types of system controls that we have. That takes us finally to the importance of system control. Number one, you ensure system reliability is very key. Number one is to ensure system reliability. Number two is to protect what we call data integrity. Number three is to enhance security. Number four is to support regulatory compliance. And finally, number five is to minimize downtime. I'm going to take that again. We are looking at the importance of system control. Why is system control so imperative? Number one, to ensure system reliability. Number two, to protect what? Data integrity. That's number two. Number three, to enhance what we call security. Number four is to support regulatory compliance. Then number five is to minimize downtime. Don't forget that. That takes us fine to the examples of system control. Most of you be like, Mr. Excel, what exactly? Can you give us some examples of system control? Number one is your banking system. It's a good example of system control. Logic control such as encryption ensures secure transaction. Okay, most of your information are encrypted to ensure secure transaction. Number two is healthcare system. It's a good example of system control. Backup controls ensure patient data is not lost during system outages. You understand? They have a recovery plan, they have backup. Then number three is your educational system. Administrative control restrict access to sensitive or students' records. So I just gave you three imperative and constructive examples of system control. Number one, I said the banking systems. Number two, I said the healthcare systems. Number three, I said the educational system. So I remain Mr. Brimo MO Excel, and I remain your facilitator. Do not forget this video is meant for 500 level students. Thank you. All right, see you in our next class. We'll be looking at our next topic, which is computer hardware, in our next video. Thank you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to share. Okay.